So we're starting with introduction to ethics. And here we'll be looking at the meaning and nature of ethics, branches of ethics, ethics and related terms, sources of ethics, Goldberg and Gilligan's theories of moral development, ethical reasoning, absolutism, and relativism. Then we look at 4 cardinal principles of ethics, cognitivism and non-cognitivism, then objectives of ethics, and then finally the nature of ethics. Of course, the whole this thing will be about the nature of ethics as mentioned in the first point. Okay. So for us to be able to appreciate ethics, the concept of ethics properly, we need to separate science from philosophy. All right. Anybody with a background in philosophy in this class? So philosophy tries to deal with some of the most difficult questions or issues of life. Okay.
Recording in progress.
That is the whole idea behind philosophy. Please, I'm getting the feedback. If you are not answering a question, can you kindly mute your mic? If you are not presenting, please mute your mic. Thank you. Okay. So it is important that we know the separation. We separate science from philosophy. And basically, philosophy seeks to address the why type of questions, while science deals with the how type of questions. And normally, it is very difficult to understand or answer the why type of questions, okay? Because you rest in the domain where it's not subject to very common understanding or analysis when you want to answer or address the question why. All right. So philosophy normally deals with very difficult issues that boils down to our belief systems. For example, most of the time they want to address the issue about, say, the existence of God. Whether God exists, how do you prove that indeed God exists, and so on and so forth. So whenever we deal with the realms of philosophy, normally we're dealing with issues that border on belief systems. Most of the time, it's difficult to explain your belief. If we take for a religion, for example, why you are a Muslim, why you are a Christian, the best you can do is to go back to the text or books that were written to try and make your point. But personally, it is very difficult to prove, okay, the existence of God. So difficult, challenging questions fall within the domain of philosophy. And that is where ethics as well rests. In ethics, we'll be dealing with issues about the belief systems of people, why they believe something is right and why something is wrong. Okay, it is not very straightforward. If you were in a particular culture or from a particular village, you will be able to appreciate why. Sometimes they can, later on we'll be looking at that. Sometimes they themselves might not be able to even explain why they undertake certain practices. But these are the things that they have come to meet, and therefore they have to continue with that particular tradition. All right. So philosophical issues or philosophy is where ethics actually dwells in. But science deals with the how. All right. Things that we can really understand, things that we can subject to some form of interrogation and investigation falls within the domain of science. Okay. So I think we've all done some core science before. If you want to test for the presence of, say, glucose in bread, okay, we are told that you add some iodine to some bread and the color will change to blue-black. So science lends itself to concrete analysis. You can go to the lab and conduct tests and get answers for whatever that you are looking for. But philosophy is quite different. It is very nagging and very difficult to be able to address that. All right. So because of the difficulty, we have certain disciplines that try to help us to be able to address the why questions. And these are considered to be the disciplines in philosophy. So philosophy encompasses the knowledge found in these disciplines. We have first logic. All right. So if we go back to our earlier example about the existence of God, you cannot subject it to any lab analysis. All right. If you go to the lab and you conduct tests, you will not be able to find God there. But if you were to subject it to logical reasoning and analysis, okay, or for example, if I was to ask this class, none of us have seen God before. Why do you think God exists? Yes, I want answers. Francis Boateng.
Yes, Doc.
Yes. Why?
Yes,
have you seen God before, or you don't believe in the existence of God?
I believe in the existence of God, but I was told.
You were told.
I was told. And I've read the Bible, and that is what the Bible says.
So it's from the Bible and what you have been told.
Yeah, by my pastors.
By your pastors.
Yes, please.
Okay. Any other person at the personal level, have you sought to understand or question your belief about the existence of God? And how were you able to do that? Mami Sewa Bodu. Mami Sewa. Yes.
Okay, that's what I've grown to believe, and that's my belief. So I believe God is there, and we've not seen him before, but that's what I've learned.
What makes you believe or accept that belief?
Okay, there are some decisions that I've taken whilst I'm saying, since I trust him, there are decisions that I've taken which are shown to me that he exists. That's personal, at my personal level. That's what I can say.
Okay. Any different answer? He says there are some decisions that she has taken that makes her to believe so. Any other answer? Gabriel or Gabiru? Gabiru, yes, Evans.
Doc, Kabiru.
Kabiru, yes. Kabiru, can you help us?
Okay, just like my first colleague, my brother said, based on what we were taught and what we also witnessed our parents.
So I want to talk about what you have witnessed to convince you that God exists. Yes.
Okay, the nature of the world.
The nature of the world. What is the nature of the world?
We wake up, there's day, there's night, there's morning, there's rain. It makes me believe that there's a supreme being controlling affairs.
Okay.
And when I speak, I sit down and check what is inside me that is speaking. Okay. Do I have a recording or something in there? Right. The way my voice. So I believe that based on these things, there is a supreme being that I might not have seen before.
Beautiful. Evans, Kema.
Yep. Hello, Prof. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. In relation to the nature of creation, when you look at how things are created, it tells you specifically that it's a designer behind everything. How things are created. That's why it makes me believe much more that the existence of God.
Great. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
It's always a creator or designer, an architect.
That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, just to throw the caveat that this is not a religious class. So I'm not trying to enforce anybody to have faith in God or any faith at all. But it's just for you to be able to understand this lecture properly. Okay. And I like the kind of answers that you've given. All right. So basically, when it gets to some of these things, we have to rely on these things that we'll be looking at very soon. So first and foremost, under philosophy, there's discipline of logic, all right? We try to gain knowledge about or try to answer the question why through logic. So the study of reasoning, analysis, and argumentation. So basically using logic to be able to say that if this is what is happening and that is happening, then all things being equal, we can say that this really exists. All right. So somebody was talking about the way the world has been created day and night. So it's basically using the analysis of nature to be able to address that question. All right. Somebody spoke about how the design. That is the issue of aesthetics. All right. Aesthetics, the study of ideal form and behavior. So by just looking at the nature of the world, looking at mountains, looking at the sea, some people will come to believe that there must be a supreme being called God. Others may use politics. And here politics, we are not talking about political parties per se, but we're talking about how things are governed, how the social institutions and organizations. Okay, so if you look at the orderliness of nature and how things operate within a system, that can help you to know that there should be some form of leadership or some governance in place. All right. Some will rely on metaphysics, sophisticated examination of substance, motion, space, and time to be able to address the issue of philosophy. All right. So there are still people that are still trying to find out. In fact, every year or every other century, there is a discovery of a new planet, a new that, and so on and so forth. And some people will rely on this to address or answer questions that do not lend themselves to laboratory investigations. Okay, so that is the realm. When we get to ethics, it's quite difficult because as you might be seeing, it is possibly based on where you are coming from, where you were raised, your society, and so on and so forth. That might help you to decipher or determine whether something is ethical or not. Okay, so to be able to understand ethics, the point we are making is that you need to be able to separate the concept of philosophy from science. Okay, science, you follow a procedure, it's methodological, experiments, and that will help you to get results. When it comes to ethics, no, that is not really it. It's subject to a lot of nuances that you cannot just subject to one form of experiment. Okay, let's move to the branches of ethics. So there are 5 branches or divisions of ethics. We have the first one known as the applied ethics. That is the use of ethics in real world situations. Example is bioethics. So when it gets to medicine or biology, ethical issues dominate in reality. Okay, so the one example is the issue of mercy killing, for example. If somebody was really sick, the family is spending a lot of money and so on and so forth. Will it be right, for example, for them to seek the help of a doctor to just inject the person to kill him quietly? Some will say for him to go and rest. All right. So if you look at your suffering parent, grandmother, or something of that sort, you might feel that it will be better for the person to die than the person to be alive and be suffering the way the person is suffering. Okay, but it doesn't lend itself to straightforward answer. But these are real life situations where ethics comes to play. Okay, then in business ethics as well. All right, if you have a product that is just about expiring, will you want to inform your clients about the possible expiry dates? In fact, we have situations where people even sell expired products. All right. We have advertisement that businesses undertake that do not reflect the true nature of the product and services that they sell. Okay, so in real life situations, ethics comes to fore. And that dimension of ethics is what is known as the applied ethics. Okay. Then we have normative ethics. Normative, it established moral benchmarks that define what is appropriate or what appropriate and inappropriate behavior is. All right. So it established then the standard. So the example here is the golden rule, which says do unto others what you want them to do unto you. Okay. So it guides everybody in terms of your decision making. Obviously, if you don't want something to be done to you, the reasonable thing to do is not to do same to other people. So it helps set standards as to how people should behave. And that whenever you see standards or norms that are being set in organizations to say that this is how we expect you to behave here, it falls within the domain of normative ethics. Okay, then we have the third one being the descriptive ethics, what the public actually believes to be right or wrong. So we have what the norm is, the expectation is, all right, and what people or the public generally may accept or not to accept to be right. So later we will see that most of our moral standards will be coming from religious texts like the Bible or the Quran or any other books of that sort. And if you were to go to them, if we take the issue about same-sex marriage, it is clear that the normative there is that marriage should be between the opposite sex. Okay, but if you come to the relative, which falls within the domain of descriptive ethics, it depends upon where you are. If you're in Ghana, you can still be insisting on that particular position. But if you find yourself in US, some states there, it is not all the states, all right? Some have signed it as a law where a male and a male can, or man and man can marry, woman and woman can marry, and so on and so forth. So they are not going by the norm as contained in religious books. The society within which they live decides what they want to do as far as the same-sex marriage issue is concerned. Okay. Then we have the fourth type of ethics or branch of ethics known as meta-ethics. Okay, so meta-ethics is where we now want to analyze or question our own ethical judgments and beliefs. So whatever you claim to be right, in meta-ethics, you want to question that whether your basis for saying something is right is actually right, or your basis for saying something is wrong is actually wrong. All right, so aims to understand the nature of ethical characteristics, assertions, attitudes, and judgments. So you might have held a particular position, yeah, same sex or sex, heterosexual sex is the best. And if somebody doesn't behave that way, that person deserves to be killed. Okay, so you may pass a law like that. Under meta-ethics, somebody will also come and question whether it would be appropriate to kill or abuse people that are gay. Okay, so that falls within the domain of what is known as meta-ethics. Right. Then the last one I want to look at is what is known as the modern ethics. So we have this debate going on whether to behave ethically is based on a sense of duty or people should behave ethically by considering the consequences of their behavior. So the two, we have theories known as the deontological theories, and we have what is known as the consequentialist theories of ethics. So under deontology, we'll be looking at that later. To behave ethically or to do that which is right is a sense of duty. All right. It shouldn't be based on consequences. Whether you be punished or not doesn't really matter. If something is right, you are expected to do that which is right. Under consequentialism, we'll analyze what is right and what is wrong based on consequences. Okay, if I can do something and get away with it and not get any consequences, then to me or to the person, that can be considered to be ethical. So consequences really is used to be able to judge whether something is ethical or not. All right. Are we fine? with the branches of ethics. Any questions so far? Any question? If you have a question, you can click on the hand button. Idris.
Yes, Doc, yes, sir, Doc. I want a further explanation on the deontological explanation.
Okay. So, yes, I guess you're a Muslim, Idris. Is that the point?
Please.
Is it yes?
No.
You're a Christian?
I am not.
Or you're a traditionalist?
I'm a Christian.
Okay. So the Bible forbids fornication. Is that the case?
Yes, please.
What are the benefits of sex, Idris? Don't tell me you don't know. Mama, while you answer that question, Anne as well. Let me look at the people in this.
Okay.
What are the benefits of sex?
Yes, so it reduces stress, and then it can also
stress.
Yes.
It can also help what?
Reduce prostrate in men. I mean,
prostrate in men. Hey, are you now a medical doctor, Idris? It reduces prostrate in men. Mommy said, well, what are the benefits of sex? Why are you laughing? Yeah. I didn't ask you to laugh.
For health benefits.
What are the health benefits of sex?
Please, I don't know.
Any other person in this class that I want to answer this question? Okay. So the point I'm trying to raise is that in spite of all the benefits that will be associated with safe sex, you have the Bible telling you for whatever, do not engage in that, unless, of course, within the context of marriage. Okay. And then, so if you're a Christian, in spite of the benefits of sex, you are supposed to obey this instruction or this command. Okay, so it's not based on the fact that if I was to ask for the consequence of sex, we will have examples like teenage pregnancy, we may have STDs, unwanted pregnancy, and so on and so forth. But what if you can get a cure for that, for example, by using condoms or other contraceptives? Okay, or any other medication at all. So the issue is not based on consequences. You'll actually be obeying this because you believe in what the Bible says, and you believe that you have the duty or the responsibility to abstain from sex. Okay, so in deontology, the theory argues that we have to do that which is right, not because of the consequences that will come upon us, but because it's the right thing to do. So the other one is the consequentialism, whereby you want to ask yourself. For example, we now move from sex and go to, say, stealing. All right. What are the consequences of stealing? If you were caught, what are some of the consequences? Yes. Any volunteer to help me? Evans has spoken.
You will be killed.
You will be killed. Who is speaking?
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie, yes. So you could be killed. Any other? Osman, you should know about stealing. Osman.
No, you can't be jailed. You can be
jailed. Yes, you can be jailed. Any other? Quickly. We have 3 topics to deal with today. So please.
Look, stealing also comes with stigmatization.
Stigmatization if you are caught. All right. So based on what we've said so far, it's reasonable not to steal or not to seek to steal. Okay. And the reason why you'll not do it is because of the consequences that will come as a result of stealing. So that is the other dimension. So there's the term, we'll be looking at that. I think lecture 3 is on the theories of ethics. Okay, so we have these 2 battles going on within the theories of ethics, whether we should be ethical based on the sense of duty or we should be ethical because there are consequences associated with being unethical. Okay. Idris, are you clear now? Idris?
Yes, sir. Very clear. Very, very clear.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll move to the next. So we have ethics and related terms. We have some terms that are very, very close to ethics, but some are the same, almost the same as ethics. Others are different. So let's look at the first one, the concept of morality. So morality refers to the rules and guidelines which an individual or a group has about what is right or wrong, good or evil, same as ethical principles give ideas about what is right or wrong, true or false. Okay, so the issue of morality and ethics are very, very close, almost the same, because they all point to help us to be able to differentiate between right and wrong, as well as good and evil. Okay, so normally when we're discussing ethics, it's almost as though we're also talking about morality. All right. Okay. Then we have religion and ethics. Are they the same? So religion drives its precepts not only from human experience, but from divine revelations. So ethics are normally just rules and regulations that govern human institutions. Whenever a group of people come together and they want to ensure that there is sanity and there is order, normally there will be some forms of rules and regulations that falls within the domain of ethics, okay, to govern human behavior, to govern human relations in organizations, okay, or groups. But when it gets to religion, those precepts, those rules and regulations, they are not merely human or originated. All right. We are made to believe that some came as a result of divine revelation. So whenever religion comes to play, we're dealing with aspects of the supernatural, or if you want, divinity, not just human beings coming together to agree to set some rules and regulations. So that is the difference. With ethics, it is dominated by human intervention with regards to having norms, having rules and regulations that will govern behavior. But in religion, beyond the human norms and structures, we normally have divine revelations as part of religious order or rules. Okay. But the similarity is that ethical ideas are mostly driven from religion. So those that have propounded the theories of ethics, most of them used to be very, very religious people. In fact, there were Roman fathers or stuff like that. Very religious people came out with the theories to govern ethics. So that is the difference. Religion goes beyond the human experience and includes divine revelation. But ethical issues stays within the domain of human beings. Human beings coming together to set their own rules and regulations to govern their behavior is where ethics lies. All right. Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Right.
Yes, Prof.
Then we'll move to ethics and law. You see, there will be some similarities, right? Law wants you to do the right thing. Ethics as well wants you to do the right thing. But are they the same? Law basically differs from ethics in its option to use force when necessary. And in fact, it is backed by power. So that's the difference. Normally, when it comes to law, there is some element of force. There is some institutions of power that compel you to do that which is right. But if you fail to do that, there are consequences for that. And at the beginning, when I was introducing this course, I said we're learning two aspects. We're learning the ethical aspects where it will be optional, somewhat optional for you either to do what is right or wrong. But when it comes to the second leg, which is corporate governance, it is basically law, where it is almost mandatory for you to do that which is right. If you fail to do that, there will be some consequences for that particular failure. Okay, so with law, it's not advisory. Nobody will pamper you. There are rules, there are laws. If you fail to comply, the institutions or the force of the institutions that have been set in place, the powers that be, will actually punish you for that. Okay. The other difference is that ethics concentrates on do's, whilst law concentrates on don'ts. So normally with ethics, the emphasis on advising you and encouraging you for you to do that which is right. But with law, if you take the criminal code, it is all about what you shouldn't do. All right. That is the thrust of law. It focuses on don'ts, things that if you do could lead into trouble, and specify the consequences that will come as a result of your failure to comply. So the emphasis of law is on don'ts, whilst when we get to ethics, it is more of do's, things that you have to do, and within this context, doing that which is right. Okay. The last one is that ethics is a much wider term than law. Okay, so the demands of ethics is bigger than the requirements of the law. Okay, because normally when it comes to law, how do I put it? There is always the way to go around it, to break the law or to circumvent the law. But ethics is about your own conscience and your own morality. Okay, so ethical issues normally go beyond the requirement of law. For example, if we take minimum wage, what is the minimum wage now in Ghana? What does the law say? The minimum wage now? This is our money, we should know. Francis Boateng, what is the minimum wage now?
I haven't checked.
You said?
I haven't checked.
Hey. Bless
Prof,
Maybe
it's 14.88 cedis.
14.88
cedis.
Okay, let's assume it's 15, right? 15 times 30 will be how much?
Okay.
What do we get when we multiply 15 by 30?
450.
450. All right. So based on law, if you were to employ somebody for a month and you were to pay the person 450, you will have met the requirement of the law. All right. But will it be okay to pay somebody 450 in present day Ghana?
No, sir.
Hey,
No, sir.
Mr. Give us a breakdown. How much do you spend in a month?
A month.
Yes.
There are some budgeted expenditures, so I can't say.
Yes, so you give us the budgeted ones. Mami said, why you like excuses?
From
yes, so the budgeted ones, yes.
And so I do think 1,005.
Which one is the 1,005? What do you spend 1,005 on?
Oh, my expenditure in a month.
Yes, I want the breakdown.
The breakdown.
Food,
so
yes, food. How much?
Food.
Yes. Hey, Mami,
So
you don't know. You don't eat.
No.
Yes.
I eat, but the thing is, I eat when I come home. So when I'm at work, I only buy lunch and sometimes breakfast. That's why I'm not able to.
So combine your lunch and breakfast. Let's leave supper out.
Yes.
You can assume a figure for that. Yes. So how much do you spend for lunch?
So in a week, I spend 250 in a week.
On food?
On food and transportation, yes.
A week you spend 250 on food and transportation?
Yes, please.
Okay. That week, how much do you spend on credits?
Credit, I spend 20 cedis in a week.
20 cedis in a week?
Yes.
Light bill, how much do you spend?
Not yet.
You don't pay light bill?
Not yet.
Oh, lucky you. You are not a good person to be giving us this example.
Yes, I'm not the right person for this.
All right, no problem. But even if you don't pay that, well, yes, so within the week, roughly, you will spend, it's almost 270. So let's say 300. All right. So 300 times 4 will be how much? Yes, it gets to 1,200. Okay. Yes. That is where several things have not been accounted for. You don't pay water bill, you don't pay light bill.
Yes.
We've not addressed your clothing.
Yes, sanitary.
Sanitary stuff and so on and so forth. Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that whilst it will be legal for you to pay somebody $450 a month, it will not be ethical to do so given just the budget of Mami Sewa. All right. So if you're an ethical employer, you'll be looking at, even when somebody agrees that I'll work for you for $450 per month, if you are ethical, you must look beyond the requirement of the law and pay that person far more than what the law requires. That is the point about the ethics is much wider term than law. Okay. If you want to stay with the law, you will just do the minimum, what is required. The law says that you do it. But in your own conscience, you know very well that you could have done far more than the requirement of the law. So the demand of ethics goes higher, even though there won't be punishment for ethical considerations. But the requirements goes higher than that of the law. Okay, right. Then we move to ethics and values. Ethics and values. So moral values are deep-seated ideas and feelings that manifest themselves as behavior or conduct. So our values normally are deep-seated ideas. Later, we'll look at that. There are things that we grew up with, belief systems that we have in us, that tends to help us put value on some things. And that also tends to influence our ethical behavior. Okay, so you might not be doing something because of the values that you have. And sometimes the temptation is to see people that don't do what you don't do to be demonic and Satans. But in the same vein, you, the same person, will be doing something that other people will not be doing. All of those things are coming from the value systems that you were built with. Okay, so values, as you may be seeing later on, actually help us to determine our ethical behavior and our ethical belief.